Hello, mathematicians. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me virtually during this asynchronous learning session. We are going to be jumping in to a concept about fractions that you're going to need to know in order to move forward with our lessons on Thursday and Friday. So make sure you're paying attention during this virtual lesson. You're going to want to make sure that you have with you your math journal and a pencil. So if you don't have those things, go ahead and pause this video, grab your math journal and pencil, and then come on back because we're going to be taking some notes and practicing some problems before I let you head on to below here informative to do some practice problems where you show me what you've learned from this video. All right, let's get started. So what I'm going to need you to do is at the top of the next clean page, go ahead and label your page least common denominator. Least common denominator, or sometimes we call this LCD. Now that sounds almost like least common multiple, or LCM, which we talked about yesterday in class. And in fact, it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that last letter. Instead of talking about multiples, now we're saying denominator. Yesterday, we also talked about making equivalent fractions. So we're going to use these two ideas from yesterday, least common multiple and equivalent fractions, to help us understand this new concept today, least common denominator. We looked yesterday at how do we add and subtract fractions with like denominators. And we reminded ourselves that we simply add the numerators. We don't worry about the denominators. But in 5th grade, we start to see problems that look like this. Uh-oh, all of a sudden, we have 1/3 plus 1/2. Our denominators are not the same. This problem cannot be solved as is. We'll look more at how to solve this problem on Thursday, but today we need to know, well, what can I do to these fractions to create equivalent fractions that have the common denominator, a denominator that is the same? Because the only way that we can add and subtract fractions is if their denominators are the same. So the LCD, the least common denominator, is going to help me do that. So let's talk about how we find the LCD. Okay, so step 1. We need to find the LCM. Hey, if I write it, make sure you're writing this. We need to find the LCM of the denominators. Step 1, find the LCM of the denominators. So my denominators, remember that's on the bottom. I have 3 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write 3 and 2. Now let's find that common denominator. Here we go. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. All right, let's count by 2s. 2, 4, 6. Stop. Look at that. My first common denominator is my LCM. Now, instead of calling it LCM, when we talk about fractions, we're going to start calling it LCD because it's going to become our denominator. So the LCD of 3 and 2 is 6. It's what they have in common. So that's step 1. Step 2, use the LCD to make equivalent fractions. All right, so I'm going to come up here to my fractions, 1/3 and 1/2. I'm going to write my 1/3 and my 1/2 right on top of each other. And I'm going to create new equivalent fractions, this time with a denominator of 6, because that is my LCD. Do you remember how we make equivalent fractions? We ask ourselves, how do I go from 3 to 6? Well, I know I need to multiply. Okay, well, let's see. 3, 6, 2. So I'm going to multiply by 2. And what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 1 times 2 equals 2. Bada bing, bada boom. We've made our first equivalent fraction. Let's do the same thing with the bottom fraction. I need to go from 2 to 6. To go from 2 to 6, I need to multiply. 2, 4, 6, multiply by 3. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. We've made another equivalent fraction. So now I have 2/6 and 3/6. And hey, the denominators are the same, so guess what? We can now add those together. 2/6 plus 3/6, well, 2 plus 3 is 5. The denominator stays the same. So if we go back up here to the top, 1/3 plus 1/2 equals 5/6. Again, the addition part we're going to work on Thursday and Friday. What you need to learn how to do and understand is how do we find the LCD and use it to make equivalent fractions. Can we do a couple practice ones? Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and flip to my next page. All right, so we're going to find the LCD for 1/3 and 3/9. We're going to find the LCD, and then we're going to make equivalent fractions. So let's first look for the LCD. Remember, in order to find the LCD, we need to find the multiples for 3 and 9. So I'm going to rewrite it, 3 and 9. All right, let's find the multiples of 3. Here we go. 3, 6, 9. Stop! We found it. That was easy. Didn't even have to do any multiples for 9. The LCD for 3 and 9 is 9. That's step 1. That was easy. Step 2, let's make our equivalent fractions. So I'm going to rewrite 1/3, and right underneath it is 3/9. My new denominator is going to be 9. So I'm going to say equals 9 equals 9. All right. If I'm going to go from 3 to 9, well, I'm going to multiply. 3, 6, 9. Multiply by 3. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. We've made an equivalent fraction. 1/3 is equal to 3/9. Now down here, 9 to 9, I'm keeping this fraction the same. We multiply by 1. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 3 times 1 is 3. Look at that. Now, if I wanted to, I could add these together. 3/9 plus 3/9 equals, well, 3 plus 3 is 6. Denominator stays the same. 6/9 is our answer. How are you feeling? Can we try one more? Let's do it. All right, let's try 3/4 and 5/6. Oops. I went ahead and wrote them up like this. That's fine. Step 1, we need to find the LCD. In order to do that, I need to find the multiples of 4 and 6. So let's do it. Let's do 4 first. Here we go. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and 6. 6, 12, stop! You found it. Are you getting pretty good at that? I bet some of you are. I bet some of you knew it was going to be 12 before we even wrote it down. That's awesome, but you still got to write it down, okay? All right, our LCD is 12. Remember, that LCD becomes our new denominator. So we're going to make equivalent fractions next with a new denominator of 12. All right, so I need to go from 4 to 12. 4, 8, 12, multiplied by 3. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 3 times 3 is 9. 6 to 12, 6, 12, that's easy, times 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 5 times 2 is 10. And now, if we wanted to, we could add them together. 9 twelfths plus 10 twelfths equals 19 twelfths, which is an improper fraction, which means there's a whole number in there. We'll talk more about that later. All right, lovely friends. That was our quick lesson on finding the LCD, the least common denominator, and then using that least common denominator to create equivalent fractions. Thursday and Friday, we're going to be using this strategy to help us add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators. Target, since you'll be missing tomorrow, I'm going to post a video below going over what we'll be doing in class if you'd like to watch it so you don't fall too far behind. I'm also going to be posting another video or two to help you with this strategy. Use all of the resources you need, and when you're ready, begin work on the problems below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in class.